All right, we're back here on SportsLine talking some football tonight. 10 days away from the start of Titans training camp. 10 days away from Tennessee on the field in Knoxville. Vanderbilt to follow there shortly after that. SEC Media Days last week, Nick Saban, always the toast of Hoover, Alabama. Tons of Crimson Tide fans were around. And Nick Saban is always the #1 guy the media wants to talk to. The media maybe not the #1 group of people that Nick Saban wants to talk to, but the media always wants his thoughts on college football and other things. Very interesting takes as always from Coach Saban, and here's some of that from last week at SEC Media Days.
Left side in the corner.
Coach, I have two questions for you. With all the kind of the negative news surrounding college football as a whole past couple of months, it'd be nice to have stories of leaders and players stepping up and doing the right thing. I know you teach something called the power of one with your players. I'm curious if you'd share that with us.
Well, the power of one is, people think that leadership is standing up in front of a whole big group of people or the whole team and giving some fantastic speech or being able to inspire a whole group by what you do. And I think sometimes leadership comes from being somebody that somebody can emulate, setting a good example, caring enough about one person, just one person, to help serve that person to change and help them sort of make the kind of sacrifices and develop the kind of habits that are going to help them be successful. And, that grows. All right, so if 3 people affect 1, that's 6. If those 6 affect 1, that's 12. All right, so you just keep sort of by setting a good example and developing a respect and trust on your team. I think the same thing, which I alluded to before, could work some in society and might be helpful in developing a little respect and trust for each other out there as well.
And Coach, finally, with the news out of Baylor the past couple of months, I said on the radio that I thought most coaches around the country would take an opportunity to look in the mirror, look in their own closet, look at their own policies and procedures and say, how can I be better? And Coach, your words carry a lot of weight in the college football community. I'm curious how that made you do a self-check of yourself, your program, and see how maybe Alabama can be a leader in this area.
Well, I don't think there's any question about the fact that, we have a social issue through all parts of human beings that is an issue. And we want to do an outstanding job of helping educate our players in terms of how they should manage, how they need to respect women, and the consequences of domestic violence and not treating people with proper respect. That's something that has been ongoing in our program, and we have had a program, speakers, education, and peer intervention for all behavioral issues, whether it's drugs, alcohol, agents, gambling, how to treat the opposite sex, domestic violence type stuff, macho man stuff, using guns, that was brought up before, having guns, all these things. So we have a whole team of people who are working hard to try to develop that. I think the thing that we do actually helps our players to a large degree, but I don't think it's fair sometimes to think we're going to be perfect and being able to affect everyone to make the right choices and decisions. But this is something that we are very serious about, and that we are doing everything that we can in our program to try to influence our players to make the best choices and decisions when it comes to any kind of respect in terms of how to treat the opposite sex.
We only have time for 2 last questions. Right side, 3rd row.
Coach, could you update us on the statuses of Cam Robinson and Hootie Jones as we look ahead to the start of the season, and also the situation involving Maurice Smith and his decision to transfer?
Well, first of all, let's take the second one first. Is we have a rule in the SEC that if a player wants to transfer to an SEC school, and this rule was put in place years ago with the wisdom of a lot of people, so that people would not recruit players from one school in the conference to another. And that rule is that you have to sit out a year if you transfer inside the conference. And we support that rule. I mean, we think that's a good rule. We think that if we didn't have that rule, everybody would be cherry-picking guys from another team, especially graduates, because they're immediately eligible, and that wouldn't be good for our conference. So we support that rule. So if Maurice Smith has been a good player on our team, he's a good person, and he would be a significant contributor to our team this year if he decided to stay at Alabama. And we have told him that because we support the SEC rule, it would not be in your best interest to have to sit out. If you want to go someplace else, we'd be glad to help you do that if you don't want to continue to be a part of our program. You know, Cam Robinson and Hootie were not charged with anything. I think that the facts that we have are a little different than sort of were advertised. Both players have done a significant amount of things to change their behavior internally, whether it was police ride-around, whether it was community service for juvenile groups that need positive role models and influence to make better choices and decisions. So we have viewed this as if these guys do these things to change their behavior and help these other people, and that is ongoing. If they continue to do that, that will be how this matter is handled internally.
Nick Saban at SEC Media Days last week, so many questions for him about off-field stuff and where college football is going. He is always interesting to listen to on that stuff. We will continue with our SEC Media Days theme on the other side. Mark Stoops, head coach at Kentucky, talking about the Wildcats. He also had interesting comments about his brother, Bob Stoops, the surprising retirement of his brother. He was as shocked as everybody else, it seems. We'll hear from Mark Stoops on the other side here on SportsLine on News Channel 5+.